Shalom, Rastafari. Now, salam alaikum. Peace to the kings and the queens of the earth. How you guys doing this week? This is Coach Treasy with another little podcast drop. Want to give a shout out to everybody listening. Thank you for your support. Continue to bump that music. Again, Selassie Soldier 1, Coach Treasy Genesis, out now on all digital streaming platforms. A couple of shows that'll be coming up very soon. Please keep it locked in. Definitely April and May is coming around. So you know what it is. It's show season. So definitely got some things in the works. Today, I definitely want to talk about my subject. It's called Vegan or Not, Don't Judge or Never Judge. Vegan or not, don't judge. So basically, a lot of people know, obviously, I'm vegan. I've been vegan now. It'll be 5 years as of May, I believe. And I made that choice a long time ago. It was basically based on a few factors. One, I was Rastafari, and I was literally into my faith, and I really wanted to get heavy into my faith. And I kind of just felt the more I got into the consciousness that, eating chicken and eating meat and eating flesh was just not my style. At the same time, I was also researching some of the factors of meat, and it was just a personal choice. Again, a personal choice. Also, again, meat quality. We don't have, a lot of people do not have access to, farm raised, perfectly good meat sources. And if they do, they have to actually, pay a lot of money for them, right? So if you're in a blue collar situation, you're only making a certain amount of money. Sometimes it can be tough to invest in good meat sources. So that was one of the choices that I made. Again, it was more consciousness, if anything, and just going over the research for myself. And obviously, there's some benefits of not eating meat. Again, my this podcast is Vegan or Not Judge, so I'm going off the vegan factors. These are the things that are facts, but I'm also going to get into why a person who is vegan or a person who decides not to eat meat shouldn't be judging others who do eat meat and trying to say that they are doing specific things to the world. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But basically, the healthy choices. One, as a black man, as a black African American, literally, I think that people need to get into the source of their ancestry as far as their diets, right? And as far as my background, we never really ate the type of meats that are available now. That's one. Two, the quality was on a whole different level. And again, three, as far as even black people know, especially in America, that eating red meat is a big source of colon cancer for us. I've seen a lot of my OGs, I'm talking about like they were born in the 40s, 50s, 60s, that funk, that funk style. I was raised by, a bunch of OGs, really deacons. And the unfortunate part about most of them is that they would get to a point where maybe money, getting successful or getting comfortable, and the first thing you want to do is eat good. So a lot of guys, they eat steak every night, burgers, a lot of red meat, and of course even pork, which I, definitely cut off after a while, but pork was a big thing in the black community. Well, that increased high blood pressure, that increased a lot of heart attacks, and increased a lot of colon cancer. So ultimately, when the studies came out that red meat really shouldn't be in our diet that much, especially not pork, it was kind of too late for a lot of people. So because again, steak and all that stuff is a delicacy, right? Like if you can afford to eat good steak, you've made it, and things of that nature. So that was my, again, personal choice. Again, having to not eat meat and then increase, everything else, increase, vegetables, and increase fruits, increase the nuts and the cashews, increase, even multivitamins, some of the things that, not taking multivitamins, but taking herbs and vitamins and replacements to ensure that you're still getting the supplements that you need to survive, that you might be getting somewhat off of actual meat. And I don't want to get into too much of the facts as far as what meat is. I do believe that at this point that if a lot of people went vegan, it would be better for their health. But I do understand why they're not, and I do understand why people shouldn't be judging. And again, I'm going to get into that in a little bit. So the energy has increased, but that also took a militant discipline on my end to continue to do that, right? Like I had to really do the research, and for the first couple, I say year or two, it was somewhat of a struggle. Not for me not to eat meat, because I just once I stopped, I didn't have any influence to eat it ever again. But to make sure that I was getting the right nutrition. Some of these cheap meat replacements are not good. They're filled with soy. Some of the like the Impossible, the Beyond is only good to eat sparingly. It's not something that you can depend on as a protein type of replacement. And so the natural way is better. Again, shiitake mushrooms or mushrooms are big in the vegan community. Seitan is big in the community. Tempeh, and of course tofu a little bit. Tofu is obviously I've actually cut back on tofu. When I first started getting into vegan, I used to have tofu salad all the time, and I just kind of cut back because I was getting tired of it. It does have some soy intake. The soy is a specific argument, but ultimately we just don't want to be having too much of it anyway. So that's really it. Now let's get to the judging part. There's a lot of people who go into this factor, and they sit there and they like to judge. They like, there's some extreme organizations that, protest, and I appreciate that, right? Because I love animals. I genuinely love animals, and the fact that I love animals and I'm vegan is pretty cool to me. That's me personally. However, if a person eats meat, that does not say they don't like, well, I don't love it. You can't say you love animals, you keep eating them. There's certain aspects to that. There's certain organizations that are extreme. They will protest in front of slaughterhouses, and they will do this, and they will go in front and volunteer as they sit in front of a train station, and they blast the sounds of the pigs getting slaughtered. And naturally, pigs are very smart, right? Pigs are extremely smart. This is exactly why I think pork is not a meat that you should really be consuming, because of the fact that they are very smart. They're intuitive. They know what's going on. So when you put them in this slaughterhouse or you put them in there, they know that they're already stressed because they can feel that there's something going on. This has been proven. This is not something that's opinionated. So they release those stress hormones into the meat, ultimately giving you that same type of feeling. No one wants to be eating meat from a sick type of animal. Well, 90% of them are actually, when it comes to pig especially. And I understand those fights, right? So I understand the PETA fights or the extreme animal fights. I get it. I haven't been in that realm where I thought about, volunteering, or when I see them, I kind of give them like a heads up, appreciate it. But it's just this thing about it I want to also get is that's not how you're going to convert people to stop eating meat. What I believe is, one, stop judging. People eat meat and they're not going to stop. Now we can get the education out. We can say, hey, be careful with specific meats that you ultimately eat. Because if you want to even hit this with a religious or a spiritual matter, in the Quran and in the Bible, it tells you what specific meats to eat. And then it tells you there were specific people, specific prophets that God commanded not to eat meat. And I think that was more of a personal choice because he knew about their health. He knew about the situation that they were in. You know what I mean? So it's like there's people who just feel that they feel better not eating meat. That's good, but they're not going to then judge the entire world for eating meat, right? I have an opinion on things, you know what I'm saying? And it's almost like, it's there's a lot of people who say, well, this is the destruction, this is causing global warming because of the massive. No, I'm gonna tell you what the massive things are. It's literally there's open fields everywhere, okay, throughout North America that don't get utilized 7 months out of the year, right? Because we have this massive want for everything, and we don't have, we don't really invest in our farmers the right way. We invest them in a corporate way, and we force them to grow specific things. So ultimately, they just have land sometimes that is just out there, right? And it's not, you know what I mean? It's land that's out there, it's not being utilized. That's what's causing global warming. If you look at all these fields with no trees and no type of carbon that's being, recycled and re-put into to good air, that's what's causing it. And so when you want to judge a person for eating meat, that's not how you're going to get this fight or this awareness out. How we get the awareness out is, let's say we all cut back on meat a little. If there's some delicious vegan food that is coming out that is completely vegan, it's completely plant-based, but it's not like chemical, it's completely made with natural foods. And I think that if we give more of that awareness out, still have restaurants like that, because there are meat-eating people who will go to those restaurants if the food tastes good. And they will gladly take a day off of eating meat, or 2 or 3 days of eating meat. And I think that if we do that, then the quality of the meat that is being sold will then in turn be better. I also think that if we invest, everyone, not just the vegans, but meat eaters too, demand better from the farmers, from government, from these corporations. You know what I mean? Stop, make it illegal to pump antibiotics into the chickens and into cows and pigs. Make it illegal for them to have these specific, tactics, the way they slaughter and do animals and things like that. Make it illegal for that, because ultimately you're not going to stop people from eating meat. It's sometimes it's culture, it's background, it's DNA, and they have a right, and they're not going to. And I love animals. I don't. That's my personal opinion, though, right? There are people who eat squirrel. I would never eat a squirrel. I would never eat any meat. I would, but what I'm saying is, when I ate meat, if someone put a squirrel on my plate, I wouldn't eat it because I love squirrels. But if they put chicken on my plate, I'd eat a chicken. Why? Because the stigma of it is it's just a chicken. That's just my personal opinion, right? And I think that there's people who raise animals every day and they have no problem, but at the tail end of their life or whatever, putting them on the plate. It's just what it is. And that's not going to stop, ultimately, So be vegan and don't judge. To me, if a person wants to eat meat, let them eat meat. If they don't want to eat meat, then don't judge that either, right? But if you want people to stop eating meat for specific reasons, I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I do think that what you can do is continue to spread the vegan education, continue to spread the health issues. And then those people who are eating meat can say, you know what, you're right, I'm not going to stop eating it, but I do want the quality to be better. So let me demand better from my store, demand better from my farmers, demand better from my legislation. Make it illegal for specific things because this is causing this and that down the line, these health issues, if I choose to invest. Because ultimately, if everyone just stopped eating meat, there's going to be a lot of farmers who are out of business. It's going to be, and I get that, right? What meat that is being put out there sometimes isn't even meat. Like fast food meat to me is touch and go, right? Like McDonald's has even come out and said that some of this stuff isn't even 100% beef. That's why you see on the menus that's 100% Angus beef. What was it before? So that fast food stuff is a risk. But if you have a farm, you have farm raised and this, that, and that, I'm not going to eat it because of my choice. But if someone eats meat, they're going to rather have that than any kind of massive amount of meat stuff that's being eaten. And so I think that the education on that level, if you want to change the paradigm of this, get the education out, one, and also two, don't judge people for making choices, because we can't judge anyone, right? We can run that. We're all different. And we can run down a damn line of things that I might like that you like, or things that you like and I don't like. And I'm not going to sit there and chastise you for it. You know what I mean? That's just judgment. So I'm not disrespecting or taking a stance against these people who are extremists. I know what their fight is, and if they want to fight that way, that's fine. There's people who I know personally who will never even sit at a table with people who are eating meat. But that to me is not the way to go. I rather invest. There's a guy in Atlanta called ML Leats who's a completely vegan and he's actually signed with like Rick Ross, and he goes and does catering, personal caterings. And I would like to say, okay, here's this amazing vegan meal that tastes just like what you're eating, right? And it's made from 100% organic vegetables. That's literally it, literally. And it tastes great. Mushrooms, it tastes just like it tastes even better. So then they eat that, and then maybe they continue to say, okay, well, this tastes just good. Maybe I'll take a couple of days off, And you never know. Maybe they'll say, I eat meat once or twice a week. That's what will make it better. So be vegan and don't judge. Thank y'all for listening. I kind of ran long on this one, 15 minutes. But I could actually go longer. I can go much longer on some of these things, to be honest with you. But I'm happy for you listening. Again, please let me know any suggestions of what you want me to talk about. I think the next thing I'm going to be doing is going to be interesting also. I'm going to be tackling some real subjects that I'm not scared to talk about anymore. I'm also not scared of people's opinions. I'm not scared of really anything when it comes to this anymore. It's one of those times in your life where it's like enough of being scared about what people think about you, and it's enough of being scared about what people think about what you got to say. People deal with haters every day. There's people who wake up and just troll people. That's what they do. So we can't be scared of these idiots. These are miniature bullies that were in high school and get their little remake by trolling people at a certain time. So I don't care about that. Bring that shit on. Bring that smoke. I don't care. I'm covered by the blood, and under Allah's grace, everything will be just fine. So, love y'all. Talk to y'all soon. Let me know any suggestions. Let me know what you think. One love.